It couldn't have been much worse of a start, but we kept our poise, kept playing. Second unit came in and gave us a big lift. T.J. McConnell, was plus 21 in 18 minutes, and he was obviously a major influence on the game. But our whole bench did a great job, and down the stretch, Tyrese closed the game.
The second game in a row where that second unit's been integral and kind of turning things around and getting things going. What kind of stands out about how they're able to do that, or what about them makes them so good at that for you guys so far?
Well, it's a group that plays with good energy. They saw the task. The task was to bring more force and posture to the game. We needed to get some stops and get some tempo going. I mean, Karras just was getting anything he wanted to start the game, and he's one of these guys that can go for 50. And we talked about that, but this is one of those situations for them where he needed a big night, Strus needed a big night, and so did Mobley, and those guys were a beast, all three of them. So it was going to be a tough game regardless of who was or wasn't playing. But once again, Jalen Smith really was terrific. I mean, Nesmith, he scored, he made threes, he drove it, but he also had 2 or 3 real key offensive rebounds for us. He's really becoming a better crasher. And, Nembhard defensively is a guy that really helps us. And, coming off of the medical thing a couple weeks ago, he's really just starting to get some rhythm. And so, but he was great. And, Tyrese was amazing, in the fourth quarter. I mean, and then 21 and 13 makes it look easy. So.
Go ahead, sure. You had Nesmith on LeVert early to kind of stop him a little bit, and then he had a career high in scoring as well. What do you think he did so well to click today? I mean, can you see that offensive growth already for him early in the season?
Yeah, look, this is a reason that we wanted to sign him and have him be one of our long-term pieces. His development, both offensively and defensively, is on the come. He's getting better all the time. And I've mentioned it quite a few times. Lloyd has done a great job helping him understand our style of play. It's much different than Boston's and much different than when he played in college. And so, he really is found a niche, and he's found a flow. He knows how to pick spots, in our random game. And, defensively, it gives us a big body to put on any one of 4 positions on the floor. And he could even play 5 defensively with his strength.
You mentioned TJ. I guess was he originally part of the plan for the rotation, or was that something that he came in because you guys needed defensive presence?
I this morning I talked to the staff about, hey, let's all keep our eyes open, and if there's a point of the game where TJ's the right guy, we got to pull the trigger decisively. And it was pretty clear in the first quarter that we needed him, and what he brings. And he was plus 24 at halftime, playing 11 minutes or something like that, or 10. And guy's a terrific player. And our rotation is by no means set. You come into the season, you have an idea of what might work, to keep guys in rhythm and keep them into the game. But sometimes it's just not that simple. Sometimes you just need your best competitors ready to go, like right now. And he was, and he was a major difference in the game.
You mentioned Drew's defense. Obviously, he walks right in and goes right on Karras. What did you, obviously.
Who?
Andrew.
Yeah.
Just what did you like? You mentioned his defense, how important it was. But just tell me just a little bit more about what impressed you about what he did, particularly on Karras. Obviously, everybody has to step up their game to guard a guy like that.
Yeah. Drew just has a real good understanding of our system. He his footwork is very good. He's unafraid. He's one of our guys that takes a lot of charges, and he loves these challenges. And then we had TJ guarding LeVert for a while. I think at the end of the first half, because I was just concerned that we were going to wear Andrew out. That's a hard job guarding that caliber of scorer who has. It's not a green light; it's a blue light. It's like it's like neon blue, which means you shoot any shot you want because we need you to score. And it takes a lot out of you.
To that point, I guess that seems like be the strength of this second unit in general, is you have all of those options that can realistically guard a guy like that. Drew, TJ could be Aaron, you could throw Bruce in with that group. And just how much does that just add options for you when you can put a group like that that's got that many defenders who can take on a bunch of positions, guarding a bunch of great players?
Well, I've been saying this for quite a while. We have a roster that's really 15 deep, Jarris and Shepard, those guys are ready to play. They've been great in practice. Tice just won the World Cup. Wara is a walking bucket. You name it. All these guys are ready. Isaiah Jackson, has done a lot of great things over the first 2+ years. So, hey, everybody's got to keep themselves ready to go. There was a moment in the first half where Tice was a real consideration against Mobley, because Mobley doesn't look overtly strong, but he has wiry strength, and sometimes you need a bigger body on him. So didn't do it, but it was something that was in the wheelhouse of discussion.
You mentioned Ty a few times how good he was. Just obviously he struggled a little bit early, but an incredible close. Obviously, what just kind of got him going, and kind of keep it together, and then turn it on like he did at the end. Well,
he just read the situations in the fourth quarter. We were able to get him matched on some guys he could attack, and I think he made 3 threes in a row and layup. So that's that's 11 points in about a minute and a half, and that's that makes a difference. I think. The one thing that we have to acknowledge is that starts to games was something that was an issue for us last year, and the first 2 games we've had struggles, and so that's got to be a point of emphasis. The guys that are starting the game, regardless of who it is, we've got to put a collective will into that. It's just too important. How you start games, oftentimes goes a very long way with how you finish. We were fortunate tonight that these guys were missing some of their stars and stuff like that, and I thought they played a hell of a game. That said, but the start of the first quarter, the start of the third quarter tonight, we need to be better. We need to be better. So, that group is still relatively new, but. I know we can do better with that, and we've got to put our energy into that.
I apologize if you've been asked this already this season, but with Haliburton, I know he's an all-star already. But have you noticed any difference in him coming back from the Team USA experience? Is there anything that he's doing better or differently, and you might point to that experience as the reason why?
That's a good question. I just believe that in talking to Tyrese and watching him lead the team in off-court situations, locker room, et cetera, he's very keyed in on little things that help you win, and it's a natural growth progression for a young all-star point guard. But the depth of his vision of the game is very unique. It's very special, and he really sees the things that are important to winning. And and when you got your best player tuned into that, that's a really powerful thing.
To that end, it looked like to close the game at first it was getting into the half-court offense, and Tyrese or you or somebody read, hey, we got to speed it up again, and that's where he kind of took over. Was that the plan, and that's what happened out there? Is Tyrese reading that moment?
Yeah, it was It was mostly him. And, you get to the fourth quarter on the road, there's sort of a global belief that the NBA game naturally slows down. And I believe in those situations it's actually important to keep playing fast, particularly our team. So we've got to strike that balance. But Tyrese, it was pitch perfect tonight. He found the creases, he found the advantages, and he finished the game off.
And you talk a lot about your lineup and roster fluidity. That closing group, was that about defense? Was that about continuity from last year? What influenced that closing group?
They were playing well. That was a group that seemed to have the best defensive presence, best handle on what was needed in the game. And we had a lot of playmaking out there, with Tyrese, Andrew, and Bruce Brown is a playmaker too. And, Aaron had a game going, and he's one of our really good individual defenders, and he's rebounding well. And I thought Miles, really made some great defensive plays at the rim to make them miss and come up with rebounds. So, look, there were some frustrating aspects to this game for sure. In the first half, I think everybody was trying to get going and get their rhythm. But sometimes you just gotta, really just concentrate on the little things and just being a total team. That's how we got to play. Thanks.
Rick, in terms of Nikola being out tonight and Michael Porter being out tonight, is it a chance for you to capitalize in the interior game really with Miles and Sabonis, really try and get into the glass and really capitalize on the boards?
Well, when an MVP is missing a game, there's an opportunity. We're catching a break there, but it doesn't guarantee anything. And again, with the high level of uncertainty, we got a pretty good idea who some of the starters are going to be, but not all of them. And look, Mike's a creative coach. He's gonna do some things to be disruptive. And again, we got to be ready for anything. We have to take advantage of our size advantage when that's in play. But we've got to do it smart.